Hello friends, welcome back once again. My name is Debunking and I am the Director of Certifications, Universal Fitness Training Academy, Guwahati, Assam. So as usual, today I have come up with a very interesting and important topic. And as you know that in social media, there are a lot of activities going on, whether it's exercise, whether it's nutrition, whether it's rehabilitation, whether it's injury prevention. And what I have seen in this few recent years, especially after COVID, every now I have seen that, a lot of people, without having a relevant background in sports science, exercise science, or exercise physiology, or who are not properly trained, they have been coming up and, fooling people and, misguiding people, misguiding our youths and telling them, to follow so-and-so diet and, which can create a lot of, health issues. So being a professional in this field for almost 23 years and having an extensive educational experience and having an extensive, having extensive qualifications, it has become my, duty to, tell you people out there, all my friends, and the main aim of the video is not to condemn anyone in social media. It's up to the, it's up to you, whom to choose, So let's start. So we'll be talking about metabolism. We'll be talking about calories, we'll be talking about fat, we'll be talking about, fat loss and nutrition plan. So when you go to a gym or when you go to a trainer or a SNC coach or anywhere, to, get some advice about, nutrition plans. So what I would like to tell each and everyone out there, whether you are a trainer, whether you are a SNC coach or whether you are a nutritionist, designing a workout plan or a nutritional plan is not that easy, you think it's not it's not a very easy process. It's a very complex process if you dive deep into the subject. So which I am going to discuss about today. And I'm not going to make it too complicated. I'm going to simplify the things. And I believe in, popular saying that, science has to be very, very specific and it should be available to everyone in a very simple manner. So that you guys can understand. So I'm not going to make things complicated. Let's start. So, and all these things which I will be, showing here is based on evidence-based science, because I have evidence, I have got all the information related to the literature which has been mentioned out here, and all the topics which I am going to share with all of you is based on evidence-based science. So you might have heard what is the meaning of metabolism, like metabolism. So metabolism is basically a complex process which happens in our body. And converting of whatever we eat into energy, and and converting that food into energy so that we can work out in simple language. So metabolism basically consists of two types. One is anabolism, which is basically, we also call it constructive metabolism. It's like building up of muscles, and you're getting stronger day by day, utilizing of the nutrients. And that is basically also called the exergenic reactions. Okay, and the catabolism is basically called endergenic reaction, means breaking down of all those nutrition sources and providing us energy. Catabolism also occurs when we are sick, when we are tired, and at that point of time the muscle protein is basically being broken down to provide the sufficient energy, especially for example if you're sick, and at that point of time what I would like to say is that protein is not only for muscle building, it's also for helping you to recover from your illness, and also it's very important for immunity. So metabolism consists of these two types, and in sports and fitness we mainly focus on this anabolism, which is basically constructive metabolism, which helps us to utilize the nutrition sources for helping us to build muscles and build strength without ATP. So ATP is basically an energy molecule which is present in our body, in our muscle cells, in our cells. So ATP helps us to give us that energy, basically instant energy. So without ATP, remember, without ATP, muscle building is not possible, because adenosine triphosphate or ATP allows the transfer of energy from exergenic reactions to endergenic reactions. What I mean to say is that whatever nutrients we eat, is basically ATP helps in transferring those energy, in producing energy transferring those nutrients in, helping us to build muscles and, provide us energy. So without ATP, without proper ATP supply, our body will not be able to, utilize those energy sources, or we will not be able to create an anabolic environment in our body, which can help us to grow muscles. And next is the components of energy expenditure. See, whenever you are going to, prescribe someone a diet plan, we need to see a lot of factors like, what kind of activity that individual is into, whether he is a professional player or whether he is an amateur player, whether he is a bodybuilder or a football player, or whether he is, just, fitness freak, just for normal thing, or he is a model, or he is like a normal, office going guy. So we need to calculate all these things. So without calculating all these, variables, all these important things, we will not be able to advise someone a proper diet plan. So we have to calculate the components of energy expenditure. So basically energy expenditure means what? Whatever energy we spent. So the components of energy expenditure basically the TEE, the total energy expenditure, means in 24-hour period, what is the amount of energy we are spending. So we need to calculate that also. There are various ways for calculation. And again, we have to look into the matter that TEF. Number 2 is TEF, or thermogenic effect of food. Whatever food we eat, basically, it produces heat. So energy means heat. So we'll talk about that also. So the amount of heat which is being produced in our body while eating or digestion of food. That is also called DIT, or dietary induced thermogenesis. And after that, RMR, resting metabolic rate, the amount of energy the body requires, the amount of heat the body requires when we are at rest, when we are not doing any kind of physical activity. And after that, energy of physical activity means whenever we work out, see, the body burns energy, or body produces heat, and body, burns calories, and, constantly 24 hours a day. And during physical activity, whatever the amount of energy we are utilizing or burning or producing is basically called the energy of physical activity. So as we can see that African Americans have a lower resting metabolic rate than Caucasians, means the Western people. And the magnitude of difference between the races is similarity for both men and women. For both men and women, African Americans have a lower resting metabolic rate, and the magnitude of difference between both races means men and women, African men and women have lower resting metabolic rate than American people or the Western people. And here I would also like to add is that out of that total energy expenditure, suppose in 24-hour period, whatever energy we burn or whatever energy we expend or utilize, or the body utilize, out of that, the resting metabolic rate or the basal metabolic rate, which the body burns calories during at rest, is basically it consists of, out of 100%, is consists of say almost 60 to 75%. And the rest 25% of the total energy expenditure is 20% is basically like the energy expend and the energy burn which we basically burn during physical activity, and or 5 or 10% in some cases, basically you can say that it's 5% is dietary induced thermogenesis, or the thermogenic effect of food. And I have seen that a lot of trainers keep on suggesting people, the clients, that you need to eat frequently so that your metabolic rate will go up. But science have already proven, we have evidence that eating multiple times a day, it hardly creates any kind of significant effect on your metabolic rate. And instead of that, you will destroy your gut, you will destroy your gut bacteria, and what will happen is that the body will have a hard time digesting the food, and which might cause irritable bowel syndrome also, and a lot of other health issues. Next, the 6 methods available for measurement of energy expenditure. Now we are talking about 24-hour energy expenditure, but how to calculate it? Without proper calculation, it's not possible to prescribe someone diet. Suppose, for example, a person's total energy expenditure is say 3000 calories in 24 hours. Then if we don't know what is the amount of calories burning in that 24-hour period, we cannot specify, we cannot prescribe him a diet plan, right? So suppose for that individual, particular individual, he already has a habit of having 3000 calories and we give them 2500 calories. He will lose weight, although his aim is to gain weight. But what will happen? Let's start with indirect calorimetry, direct calorimetry, sorry. So direct calorimetry is a method through which, we can calculate the amount of heat produced in the body, and basically it's done inside an insulated chamber by 3x3 is a small chamber where the body directly produces heat. Basically calorie is what? It's emission of heat or energy. And indirect calorimetry, it's again a method basically where a person is, person has to wear a canopy, which is basically, sometimes we call it looks like a helmet. It's called the closed circuits, indirect calorimetry or the open circuit. And what happens is that the amount of oxygen we consume and the amount of carbon dioxide we exhale is basically being calculated in the machine. So for example, there is a pre-filled oxygen cylinder out there, and the person will start inhaling oxygen from that already filled oxygen cylinder. Then after you consume that oxygen, and whenever you when you exhale the carbon dioxide, there is a particular soaking kind of material, absorbent material inside that mask, which calculates the ratio of oxygen consumption and carbon dioxide. So out of that ratio, the calorie is being calculated, the resting metabolic rate is being calculated. So what I would like to tell you is that it's a normal thing, it's a normal physiology that the body uses 1 liter, the body almost burns 5 calories while using 1 liter of oxygen. For example, if I go into that, if I go through the process of indirect calorimetry, I will consume 1 liter of oxygen, and during consumption of 1 liter of oxygen, and after calculating that, we can find out that the body produces 5 calories. The body burns 5 calories. So basically, while processing carbohydrate and fats, while producing fats, the body basically metabolizes 4.7 calories and 5.05 calories in terms of carbohydrate, because as we know that during activity the body basically uses energy from fats and carbohydrates, because they are basically the main source of energy, not protein. During any kind of physical activity and exercise, during that metabolization of protein and carbohydrates, the middle figure, which is basically 5 calories, which is being assumed that we already know that that while processing 1 liter of oxygen, and during that process, when the body utilizes the energy from carbohydrates and fats, it burns 5 calories. It's a normal physiology. But while using the indirect calorimeter, we can precisely tell that this is so and so amount of calories which has been utilized by that particular individual. And after that, doubly level water is there. There basically, there are some specific, heavy water which is being, fed to the person. And after that, again, there are some equations, and depending on that, they can calculate the, metabolic rate of the body. And again, there are some prediction equations. There are some mathematical formulas, equations. For example, Harris-Benedict equation is there, Mifflin equation is there, Kepler equations are there. We can calculate. We can calculate through that calculation. It's basically gender specific and age specific, and depending on that, we can find out what is the person's metabolic rate. And again, we have to take into the matter about the exercise intensity and the activity factor too. And after that, we can also calculate energy expenditure using those specific prediction equations too. And for running it's different, for walking is different, for cycle ergometry is different. So there are a lot of different equations. We can use that too. It's not that easy that you cannot just write down the calories and give to a certain individual. And after that, there are certain other things also. Activity monitors means, accelerometer, pedometers are there. There are certain devices, and those devices record all your data, all your daily physical activity. And after that, you can download in the computer and use those use certain equations specific to those devices, and you can calculate the amount of calories or the amount of energy you have utilized during that process. And again, there are activity surveys and diaries. Basically, you can note down in a diary, basically it's called the International Physical Activity Question. It's a questionnaire, IPAC. It's a questionnaire where you can, take all the information, relevant information from the athlete or from the individual or the client, what kind of physical activity he or she is into. Depending on that, you can, match those individual, the activity, and you can match those and you can calculate the calorie intake. For example, suppose if I am, working out for an hour with heavy weights, then approximately it's almost 5 to 6 minutes, so I'll be burning almost around 200 to 250 calories. So there are a lot of charts out there, so depending on that you can calculate and you can advise, or you can calculate the resting metabolic rate, and you can figure out what kind of diet you have to advise. And again, previous day physical activity, recall, basically this is applicable for small children and school going children, and this is also another method through which we can collect data from school children and we can calculate their overall activity, and we can calculate about their food habits, food intake, and accordingly we can advise them. Definition of calories. See, here is very important. Calories means what? Without knowing the exact definition of calories, we cannot advise someone calories, right? We cannot tell them that you have to eat certain so and so of calories, because until and unless we don't know the exact definition of calories, how we will be precisely tell someone to have that amount, certain amount of calories. So let's see. Calories are basically measure of energy. Energy means heat. The lowercase c calories is the amount of energy to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water at 1 degree Celsius under 1 atmospheric pressure. So the small letter c is basically small units of calories, heat calories, and the capital letter c is basically the calories which we refer to as food calories. And that food calories, if you refer to that, is also called kilocalories, or kcal is written kcal, and do not get confused between c, small c calorie and the big C calorie. The big C calories basically contains small 1000 units of calorie, which is basically the small c calorie, and that is also called big calorie, and the small c calorie is also called the small calorie. So 1 calorie or 1 kilocalorie equal to 1000 calories or small units of calories. So this is basically the definition of calories. So comparing metabolic rate measurements methods, so we have to compare that. See, basically as you can see that direct calorimetry, the difficulty and access is very high, it's very costly, its reliability is high, although it's termed as gold standard, but it's not available for everyone, because basically it's available in research laboratory, it's not available in in regular gyms. So only for research purposes this thing is basically being used. Even the indirect calorimetry also, even the open direct calorimetry also. So these are all basically these are the complex things. But for high level athletes, performance athletes, the first one, the direct calorimetry, closed circuit indirect calorimetry, open circuit indirect calorimetry, doubly labeled water, all these things are being used for highly trained professionals. For in gyms and all, you can use the prediction equation, you can use the pedometers, accelerometers, survey diaries and all, and you can use other methods too. And you can also use metabolic equivalence method. Out of that you can calculate also, and you can advise them the proper amount of calories. So you really need to do the math for advising, for making a diet. It's not like you have to have this amount of calories and you can just advise them without any calculation. So metabolic specificity of target, again you have to see that during exercise which kind of energy sources you are using. The body has got different energy sources. The body has got immediate energy sources. The body has got short-term energy sources. The body has also got the long-term energy sources. So the immediate energy sources are basically called the anaerobic energy system, which are of two types. The one is the phosphagen, which I am going to show you in the next slide. See, these are all energy systems. So basically, when you are doing a particular workout, say only for 0 to 6 seconds. Suppose if you are using a very heavy weight and you are lifting it for only 2 or 3 repetitions. Believe me, you are not going to burn that amount of calories, because you will only be using the phosphagen system or the extremely high, which only lasts for 0 to 6. And if the activity is continued for 6 to 30 seconds, again phosphagen and glycolysis means a little bit of carbohydrate, glucose, and again for 32 seconds to 2 minutes. But instead of describing all these things, let me tell you, whenever you do any kind of activity, if you want to utilize fats and carbohydrate mainly as a source of energy during activity, always remember you should always do your activity at low intensity levels and do for at least a minimum of more than 3 minutes. In that manner, you will be sure that you are burning the energy, or you are burning the calories for fat loss from specific fats and carbohydrate sources. Just by simply lifting weights and running on the treadmill, you cannot calculate that what is the amount of calories you are burning. You are just fooling yourself and the trainer is fooling you. Use evidence-based science, use scientific methodology so that you can do it properly. And after that, again, what kind of muscle fibers you are training. If you are targeting, heavy weights, then you are only targeting the type 2X muscle fibers. If you are targeting, moderate intensity, then you are targeting type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers, because each of these three types of energy is specific, and those specific energy system basically utilizes different kind of muscle fibers or vice versa. Suppose type 2X muscle fiber utilizes, phosphagen energy system or the immediate energy system. Type 2A muscle fibers uses the intermediate or the short-term energy system, and the type 1 muscle fiber uses the long-term energy system or the oxidative energy system. Even the energy system is specifically suited to individual muscle fiber, different muscle fibers. You have to consider that too, because we use different kind of muscle fibers in different sports. In weightlifting, we use type 2X muscle fibers. In long distance running, you use type 1 muscle fibers. So depending on activity also, we burn different kind of energies, and different we burn calories from different energy sources. Practical application. Now the time comes is, what is the practical application? So how to utilize all these things into for advising your client for getting the desired goals. So after calculating all these variables, once the client's metabolic rate is known, the fitness professional can use this information to create the diet plan. And also you have to take care about the intensity of exercise. If the exercise intensity is too high, then you will be using only in the immediate energy system, the phosphagen system. If your energy system is too slow, then you will be using if your energy system is, if you are using low intensity exercises, you will be using the oxidative system. And if it's moderate, then you will be using the oxidative and the short-term energy system too. So different levels of energy system can be utilized by increasing or decreasing the intensity of exercise. So, and finally, a piece of advice to all the professional personal trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, gym trainers and nutrition coaches: do not advise the clients to lose weight. Please don't listen to anyone who keeps on telling you to lose weight. Listen to those professionals who keeps on telling you to lose fat, because we are here to lose fat, not lose weight. If you want to lose weight, just stop eating, you will lose weight. And believe me, if you use all these methods, if you use all these methods properly, then you don't need any supplements. And anyway, I don't believe in supplements. And the last interview also, you have seen that there are no supplements which can help you burn fat, only a proper diet plan. And do not use anabolic steroids to lose fat. So if you follow all these principles accordingly, and definitely I can guarantee you, you will be able to lose fat in a safe and effective manner. And if you get confused, then I have a team of very good professionals. You can come to our institute. I can help you out. I can show you how to lose fat without getting any kind of side effects and any kind of health issues. So anyway, after all, health is the most important priority. Six packs and having a good body comes after that, because life is once. So anyway, friends, so keep watching. And if you like it, then share it to your friends. And I make videos not to get more and more likes. I make videos to make you people aware that in Guwahati itself, in our entire northeastern region, we have such a a very high caliber institute where we train clients to lose fat in a safe and effective way without any side effects. And till then, keep watching. Thanks a lot and be strong always.